Let's start with one of the most iconic moments in the Bible, when God says, "Let there be light." That line is so simple, but it's packed with meaning. What stands out to you about that moment?
What really hits me is the sheer creative force behind those words. God doesn't build or assemble, He speaks, and light just happens. It shows how, in this story, words themselves have the power to shape reality.
Totally. It's almost like language is treated as the ultimate tool, even more than hands or tools. I find that fascinating, because it suggests that intention and declaration matter, not just the actions that follow.
And there's a kind of immediacy to it, too. No delay, no hesitation. It's just, there was light. That makes me think about how belief in spiritual authority is often tied to the idea that the divine doesn't need to wait for results.
It's wild how that sets up the rest of the biblical narrative, where words, especially God's words, are always seen as potent, almost unstoppable. But I wonder, do other passages carry that same sense of immediate power?
That's a great question. Jumping into the New Testament, John 5:26 talks about God having life in Himself and giving that to the Son. To me, it echoes that same idea of inherent authority. Life isn't borrowed, it's possessed.
I get what you mean. There's this thread where Jesus isn't just a messenger, but actually the source of something essential. In a way, it circles back to Genesis, from creation to the sustaining of life.
Exactly. And it gets even more vivid when you look at John 11, with the story of Lazarus. Jesus actually calls Lazarus out of the tomb once again. Words spark action. It's like a callback to, "Let there be light." But this time it's about new life.
That gives me chills. The idea that a spoken command can bridge the gap between life and death, that's huge. It's not just metaphorical, but presented as something that physically transforms reality. Thinking about Lazarus, I always find it interesting that before the miracle, his sister Martha tells Jesus, "If you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." It's such a human moment, grief mixed with hope.
I feel that too. Martha's words are so raw, she's not afraid to express her pain, but she also leaves a little window open for faith. It's as if she's saying, "I'm hurt, but I still trust something could happen." I think that tension is really relatable.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of how so much of spiritual life is about living in that in-between space where things seem bleak, but you still hold on to hope. It's not always neat or certain.
Right. And Jesus doesn't just brush her off. Instead, He engages with both her pain and her faith. That interaction makes the miracle feel more personal, not just a display of power, but a response to real human emotion.
That's such an important point. It makes me think about how people often turn to prayer in hard times, hoping to be heard, even when things seem impossible.
That ties in beautifully with Psalm 6:9. "The Lord has heard my cry for mercy." It's so comforting to think that expressing your needs actually matters, even when you're at your lowest.
It really island. The psalmist's certainty that God hears and accepts his prayer stands out almost like a guarantee that our pain isn't ignored. And honestly, that's something a lot of people crave.
Exactly, and if you look at Isaiah 43:2, there's this promise that even when you go through deep waters, you won't be alone. It's not just about being heard, but about the assurance that presence goes with you in tough times.
That's a powerful connection. Whether it's creation, resurrection, or just surviving everyday hardships, these passages all seem to say, you're seen, you're heard, and you're not alone. I think there's something really moving about that message.